Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How you doing tonight?
Good. Was that a mousetrap that just went off? Something snapped there.
Oh, my staplers fell on the glass desktop.
Okay. All right.
It's like we had the starter's gun for our first podcast.
There you go.
Season. There you go.
We're back with a player. We got the player grades going tonight. I graded the game tonight, Bruce, and it was a fun game to grade. I mean, the Oilers just, in terms of this is a preseason game. It's the first preseason game. It's a nothing game. It's meaningless. But let's face it, in terms of an Oilers win in the last forever, they just utterly dominated the Calgary Flames. And heading into the game, I was a little bit worried, Bruce, because, the Flames, they had just an endless amount of big Bobby clobbers in their lineup, including like Milan Lucic and Eric Goodbranson, noted NHL enforcers. So I was kind of worried, are the Oilers going to get run out of town here? Are they going to get, rock beats scissors. The Oilers had this fast lineup. But then I was thinking, these Oilers players, they're hungry. They're really hungry to win, and they're going to be on these slow Flames. So paper can beat rock by covers them. Yeah, you get on them, you cover them, you smother them. And this was an absolutely smothering attack by the Edmonton Oilers. They were fantastic, this team. And it was a team, well, how many surefire NHLers are on this team? So Derek Ryan, maybe Devon Shore. I don't think Devon Shore is surefire. Slater Cuckoo.
Yep.
Evan Bouchard.
Yep.
Probably Ryan McLeod.
Yep.
And that's it, right?
The locks? Yeah. There's not many surefire locks. There's a lot more guys you can say for sure won't be on the team than will be, and then a few tweeners that are, right there on the bubble.
Yeah, the Flames also had, like, in terms of big Bobby clobbers, they had Nikita Zadorov. He is a load. Brett Ritchie.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of teams give up. Like, you'd think, why wouldn't you want Nikita Zadorov on your team? Like, when you think about the concept, kind of the platonic ideal of Nikita Zadorov, 6'6", 230, hits like hell, can skate a bit, but a lot of teams move on from him. So, I don't know. Bruce, this is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. And because it's a big Oilers win, we'll go with two good things each. Do you have any general comments on the game, or do you just want to get into your first good thing?
Just the Oilers really smothered them, eh? Like, they were just coming out with the puck time and again. Their puck would go, and the Oilers would just have possession of it. And they not only outshot Calgary by more than 3-1, but they outpowered played Calgary by more than 3-1 because Calgary never had the puck. So Edmonton had, they were the ones drawing the penalty because it was Calgary that was always scrambling to check. On the other hand, Calgary out-hit Edmonton by more than 3-1. And what good did that do them? It also means Edmonton had the puck. Calgary was, the team without the puck does the hitting, takes the penalties, and the team with the puck does the shooting and scores the goals. And all of that happened tonight in favor of Edmonton.
Did we say the score 4-0? I can't remember.
4-0 over Calgary. Well, right in Calgary.
This reminded me, Bruce, of the decade of darkness in reverse, though. The Oilers would play these teams. This is like especially into the Chiarelli era where, like, everyone still had the heavy hockey model in mind. Like, you got to play the heavy hockey. And it just doesn't, and this is the direction the Flames are going to go in, but is it going to work? I mean, you get these defensemen like who can move the puck like the Oilers did, and you get a team that can pass the puck with skill, and there's so much money to be made. Players aren't that intimidated anymore. You're going to make $1 million by sticking in the NHL. You're going to take a few hits. And then the Flames, the Oilers were shredding them with the pass, and then the Flames were getting shredded. Like, they couldn't move the puck themselves. They were just unable to make plays. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. What's your first good thing?
Well, I'm going to pick out the entire line of Derek Ryan between Brendan Perlini and Xavier Borgo. Three guys in three very different situations, and I thought they all performed really well. And special kudos, I think, to Derek Ryan, who hasn't been playing with either of those guys throughout training camp. He was always on the line with Warren Fogle and Zach Cassian. And so he got given a new assignment, and he went down to play in his old stomping grounds at Calgary, and he did the stomping in Calgary with a nice sort of opportunistic goal where he jumped on a kind of a bit of a bounce around the net, and he got a shot, and then he scored on the close-in rebound. Made a really nice pass to Borgo for the 3-0 goal. And I just liked his overall game. You know, he had a couple of takeaways in there, 10 wins, 5 losses on the face-off dot. And, you know, that's one of the things certainly that he was brought in for, you know, 2 for 2 on the penalty kill, for example. I mean, that's just one of the things he was brought in to do, is be that right-handed stick that can be relied on to take a face-off in any zone, but especially the defensive zone, and especially also on the penalty kill. And just smart player. I like how he thinks the game.
Very skilled. Yeah, very skilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On his wings, I mean, big Brendan Perlini, he got the 4th goal. I think he may have deserved an assist on one of the earlier goals that kind of bounced off him, but he wasn't, you know, he was kind of helping clutter things up on that play. But big, fast, he made big Bobby Clobber, I mean, Eric Goodbranson looked like a lamppost on the 4-0 goal when with his reach he just got a stick in there, stole the puck off him, and just pulled away on the breakaway. Had one shot, scored on the rebound. Had a couple nice passes. One real nice pass for a redirection that just barely missed the net, like the goalie wouldn't have had a chance on. And certainly helped his cause to make the hockey club. I mean, he did lots of things right. And then finally, Xavier Borgo, who at first I thought, well, they're giving him his complimentary preseason game after, you know, being the first round draft choice, and then he might take the next bus out of town or soon, you know, I mean, not right away, I guess, but it was just sort of get your feet wet. Here's NHL hockey. But now I think they might keep him around and give him a couple more games, because he looked good. Great shot that he scored on the 3-0 goal, one-timer. He started the play, got the puck low behind the net, and then he headed for the soft ice, which is something he seems to do real well, is understand where the good ice is, where he can get open. And sure enough, Ryan found him there, and he was able to beat the Calgary netminder with a good outside shot, and just plays along the boards, and he wasn't intimidated by some of the running around that was happening in the first part of the game before Calgary gave it up altogether.
Calm as a cucumber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very. No, he was very. You know, I'm trying to think of players he reminds me of a little bit. I'm coming up with a blank, maybe Nuge a little bit, but you know, he's good with the puck. He won that board battle behind the net to kick off the scoring sequence.
Yes.
When and he put it out front, and it went off Perlini's shin pad to Ryan.
Okay,
but he won a nice battle there. And
yes.
he, in the sequence, the virtuous cycle that led to him scoring, which was quite a long offensive zone play with Sevier actually getting in the action. I didn't think Sevier particularly excelled in the game. He didn't do anything to make me forget Josh Archibald. But he was in on that. Yeah, he did have 2 assists. And Bouchard was also in on that sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And Borgo made a number of nice plays on it, though. He's a good. That was a very good first impression. Highly skilled player who's good on the boards and calm with the puck. You know, he kind of we were seeing a kind of a master display of calm on the defense with Evan Bouchard with the puck. And there was some moments when I was watching Borgo and I was thinking, oh, And he's got a little bit of that same poise when he has the puck. He's not looking at to fire it away. He's looking to make a play, and he can make plays. So, with Derek Ryan, my only comment is I have a long history of not liking and picking on, I would even say, fourth line, third line centers on the Edmonton Oilers. I haven't liked one in quite a while. Maybe there's an exception to that, but Letestu in 2017 playoff run, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Derek Ryan's going to change that. I mean, that was a really impressive performance. He's fantastic skater, high skill player, smart player. If he's good defensively in the defensive slot, sold. So we are yet to see that, but that was a really strong performance, Bruce. Okay, my good thing. Well, Bouchard, we'll just go with that. I gave him a 9 out of 10 in the game grades. He was just fantastic. What a player. He just all night long, he was slicing, dicing, and pureeing the Flames forecheck. He just went through it like it was nothing. This is what happens sometimes when you get a lot of big, slow players. They're big, slow players. And if you have a defenseman who is really smart with the puck and is a good skater, Bruce Bouchard was not known as a good skater, I don't think, in the past, but I was really impressed with the way he was getting around the ice. Now, maybe it was because the Flames were so slow, but his edge work, his movement with the puck was fantastic. And there was one play in the third period that stood out in particular. It was a small play. He gets the puck in his own zone, and it looks like he's going to take it behind the net. And all of a sudden, he doesn't take it behind the net. He looks up ice, and he quickly wires a breakout pass. And that was Bouchard all game long, playing that kind of passing game. Fantastic. And his shots on net he just kept pounding away. It's almost brutal.
Yeah, well, especially on the power play. I mean, of his 6 shots on net, 5 were on the power play, and he was center of attention. They were trying to set him up for good outside shots. And I'm not sure there wasn't 1 or 2 more that got tipped on the way in and credited to somebody else, but were originated off of Bouchard's stick. And I like that, he seems to keep his options open, and he can adjust quickly to something that opens up, like the play that you described, right? I mean, he's a real quarterback out there, and he'll be, I guess, I'm thinking of Tom Wilkinson. There's our mandatory 1970s sports reference, who, at any given moment with the ball, there was about 4 different things that he could do with it, and a 5th one that even he hadn't thought of yet until the opening developed, that he would check down to. And Bouchard, his calmness for such a young player. I mean, somebody on Twitter, or I was fan on Twitter, and I'm sorry I missed the handle on this, but he said he's for the first time since Chris Pronger was an Oiler, he was thinking he can relax when the puck's on Bouchard's stick, because he's just got such composure when he's there. And I mean, comparing to Chris Pronger is a stretch, but comparing that trait of his evident feeling of control, Davis, we'll see how he feels under control against a heavy checking actual NHL team as opposed to tonight's Calgary Flames. But tonight, he was better than anybody Calgary could throw at him.
Yeah, that was an exceptionally slow Flames lineup. So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, but that said, Bruce, I mean, his own coaches, Tippett and Playfair, have been talking him up all summer long and saying there's a possibility to be top 4. We'll see. I think from watching him last year, I think he can easily move into the top 4 this year. And, by the new year, maybe before then, we'll see. I mean, I just think he's got an element, like the way he thinks the game offensively. How many other Oilers think the game that well on the attack? Like, I'd say Leon Draisaitl, and that might be it. Like, there's other, Connor McDavid is obviously a fantastic attacking player, but it's speed and skill, and he keeps his eyes up and he makes good passes. But in terms of thinking the game, looking for that moment and taking advantage of it, Draisaitl does it, and Bouchard has that. And I like Tyson Barrie a lot on the power play.
Yep.
We'll see because
Yeah.
this is going to be very difficult to resist a player like this on the power play. Like just thinking of him with Bouchard, Draisaitl working together, McDavid, Nuge. Wow, like that's a very intriguing prospect. As much as
Mm-hmm.
Tyson Barrie's fine on the power play, and of course, if you're wearing your secret general manager hat, you're thinking, don't put Bouchard on the power play because he'll get too many points, and then you'll have to pay him for all those points. But
Right.
anyway, that's my Bouchard comment for the night. What's your second good thing, Bruce?
Oh, I like to play Ryan McLeod in this game. He led all forwards in ice time barely, 17 minutes and 22 seconds, just a few ticks ahead of his two line mates, Tyler Benson and Cooper Marody. And they weren't able to bury the puck. And that inability to bury will haunt them a little bit because I think this is a game where, a guy like Perlini, Turris, who I thought had a strong game, even though he didn't have points, but his line scored. Uh, there was a couple plays where maybe they should have put it away and they didn't.
Yeah,
But specific to McLeod, uh, I'm sure liking his play through the neutral zone. He really likes to transport the puck, and he'll pick it up in the face-off circle on his end, and he'll carry it through the neutral zone and into the other team's zone and establish a possession there. He does a lot of that, uh, and he chooses good routes. And of course, he's big and he's fast and he's pretty hard to stop. And I mean, the knock on the guy is his inside game, playing right in and around the blue paint, but from ringette line to ringette line, I think he's superb. I mean, there's some real good things to like there. And again, of course, we didn't see him playing against a real NHL team tonight, but we saw a taste of what he can bring. And he had 9 shot attempts, 5 on goal. Like he was bringing it. He really got robbed on one bad angle shot where the goalie was down and out, and he kind of rolled over and got his facing backwards, got the edge of his pad on the shot that I thought might have gone in the net. But McLeod did really nothing to hurt his cause tonight. He looks like a very serious candidate for, frankly, a long-term NHL gig.
yeah, I thought he was good. I don't know how he didn't score, and I don't know how Benson missed that. Marody set him up in the third, and how he missed because he got a good shot off too. It just didn't go in the net. So I thought Benson didn't hurt his cause necessarily. Like I don't think he had a great game, but I thought he was good, and he hustled like crazy, made a lot of nice passes, did well with the puck. And listen, there's 2 jobs now open. There's the fourth line left winger job, and I think there's Archibald's job, which is now open till further notice. So some of these wingers are gonna be making the team. Bruce, my second good thing is Philip Berryland, known as Philip Berglund in North America. And this is funny because people bend over backwards now to pronounce people's names correctly when they're announcing the games. But this is one exception that you and I noticed, watching all these Swedish league games. What is it, the soft G or the G that's pronounced as a Y? Is like that's how they seem to pronounce it in Sweden, and it's consistent. We heard it all the time, but this is one case with Philip Broberg, and Philip Berglund, where the announcers don't do it ever. It's kind of fascinating. I don't know why that is, why it's the exception to the rule. We're left to speculate about that. Anyway, Philip Berglund, we'll go with the Swedish pronunciation for now, and eventually we'll probably move off it just because everyone's calling him Berglund. Last year in Sweden, he was playing hurt, and he didn't look good at all. He looked slow and wasn't moving very well. Tonight, he led the team in ice time. I think that was going to be my number, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm giving my number here too. 23:07 in ice time, and he played really well. He was made a number of where he stepped up and stopped passes, stopped plays that the Flames were trying to make. He was on them in the neutral zone, on them in the D zone. He made a number of really good passes. He was smart with the puck. There was a couple passes where he kind of gave a little bit of a suicide pass to a teammate. I did notice twice, once to Broberry and once to another Oiler breaking out of the zone. When Broberry got hit by Lucic, I think that was the case. He got a bit kind of a tough pass from Barry Lind on that one. Aside from that, though, he looked like a possible NHL player. He looked really solid, and he's going to be in the AHL to learn the North American game, probably for the whole year, most of the year. But looked to me like he could fill in the NHL maybe. So that was a very positive sign. I was impressed with his game.
Yeah, Barry Lind, yeah, he looked good, and to me, his partnership with Philip Broberry, his former teammate Shalephtia, Barry Lind, the older fellow, looks very much like he's the leader of that pairing right now, even as Broberry is supposedly the superior talent and the one with the far brighter future. To me, he's struggling a little bit, in training camp where I was at both rookie camp and Oilers training camp, and he hasn't really stood out at any point. He's got a lot of game, but he needs to start imposing it a little bit more. But with the more established veteran partner, even though he's got like 0 NHL games and 0 North American games, but you can see the experience of Philip Barry Lind that's played 5 years in the Swedish Hockey League, one of the top 3 or 4 leagues in the world certainly. So he's and he looks healthier than he did last year when we tracked him. Pretty smart player. I like his positional game. He seems to show up in the right places a lot.
And that's where Philip Broberry struggled. Like he's both trying to force it too much, but then he's forcing it at the wrong moments, right? He's not quite reading the game well. His reads are off. He skates. You got to love his skating and his size. He's really good regging the puck. He made a number of nice plays, but he made a number of bad decisions on the ice. It reminded me of how I play in Old Timers League, always getting caught out on two on ones. He did a couple times make bad reads like that. And anyway, he's 20 years old. He's going to the AHL, and he's big and he can move fast. So we'll see how that goes. Bruce, what is your bad thing?
Oh, I got to go with the Calgary Flames. It's my bad thing tonight. They were so bad that, for one example, tonight was maybe the only game that Stuart Skinner and Ilya Konovalov are going to see a lot of action. Almost certainly so for Konovalov. And they each got half a game, and Skinner saw 8 shots. Konovalov saw 7 shots. And, you'd like to see him tested a little bit harder. Even though it's nice thumping Calgary at any time. In terms of them testing the Oilers, the only test that they gave the Oilers tonight, in my opinion, was the physical test, and they tried to run around and intimidate them, and that didn't work, which is a good positive for the Oilers, who were certainly not the initiators in this game, but they weren't pushed off their game. And as things went along, the Oilers just had more and more domination, possession of the puck, and Calgary was playing chase and not very fast.
My bad thing is also the Calgary Flames, because really, what else can you say? I mean, so Eric Goodbranson, he's been on 7 NHL teams.
Wow.
And Zadorov's been on 4. Bruce, they might have had, if I'm not mistaken, they might have had four of their starting defensemen who are going to start the year. Like if Goodbranson and Zadorov both play at the same time, I mean, they played Rasmus Andersson and Juuso Välimäki.
Yep.
Like they had 4 of their 6 D-men. Who are the other 2? So this Flames team, did they sign a D-man? Who are their D-men? I don't know, Bruce. They better have some other good D-men.
Tanev. Because they lost Giordano, of course, in the expansion draft.
Yeah,
so.
They couldn't even win the what's that guy? The Vancouver got rid of the Schmidt guy. Sweepstakes.
Nate Schmidt.
Nate Schmidt. Maybe he wasn't a Flames kind of player under the Sutter. Let me just go to their roster because that was
He
kind of
wanted Zadorov and Goodwinson to add add a little bellicosity,
yeah,
truculence to the mix.
truculence. Maybe this is going to work out well, but the first kind of at first blush, Bruce, that was not very promising. When you got four of your D men who are going to make the team, and the Oilers had one, like I guess the Oilers had two with Cuckoo and Bouchard. Okay, let's look. Here we go. Flames defense. Well, they got Kevin Gravel. Oh, Noah Hannafin. Okay.
Right.
He's their number one D man, and Tanev. So their top pairing, Oliver Shillington. I think he might make the team too. Oh, Colton Pullman. Oh, that's not Tucker Pullman. Okay, Colton Pullman. Michael Stone.
Right.
Okay, so they were missing their
7D.
He's their 7D. So they were missing their top pairing of Hannafin and Tanev. So there's that, Bruce. But wow, that was a kind of a scary thing. Their lack of puck moving from the blue line and the whole team there. What is your number?
Yeah, well, I got to go with that 49-15. I mean, how often do you see shots of that nature? Edmonton outshot Calgary at even strength 32-12, which is, just ridiculous. And then on power plays, Edmonton had 17 shots on their power plays, and Calgary had 3. Like completely one-sided on power plays. At even strength, shots on goal, Edmonton's 18 skaters, the worst one for shot share, Cooper Marody at 62%. He was the worst, 62%. And at the other end, they had Ryan, Turris, Borgo, all at 89%. And they just dominated. Not one Oiler was on the ice for more than 5 Calgary shots. And not one Oiler was on the ice for less than 6 Edmonton shots. Like every single Oiler had the individual edge, but basically because Edmonton line to line to line collectively had the advantage on them. And it was one of those games. It was like one of those early season games in minor hockey where they haven't tiered the teams properly yet. And, it wasn't like Edmonton came down with McDavid and Draisaitl and, the boys, right? Their whole top 2 first lines sat out. Their third line wingers sat out. I mean, Derek Ryan was brought, I think, probably because of his connection with Calgary to sort of give him that game in his old haunt and deal with those demons right away. And otherwise, this is, very much a depth team of lower down the lineup, and Calgary did the same, but Edmonton's depth looked to be a lot better than Calgary's depth now, didn't it?
Indeed. My number, Bruce, is 2. And it was the two times that the Flames lost their cool veteran players. Milan Lucic in the first period took a double minor. I'm not exactly sure why he got so mad. I guess there was a collision.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, there was a collision there, and maybe he had a right to be angered. And then Backlund took a really stupid elbowing penalty on Tyler Benson. I think it was late in the second, early in the third. It was just dumb, and it's just like, man, I don't know what an inauspicious debut for the Calgary Flames for this season. I mean, if that's heavy hockey, Sutter heavy hockey's back in town. Good luck.
Yeah, I feel a little bit sorry for those Calgary Flames patrons who paid for tickets for that game to finally get to live hockey for the first time in 18 months.
Yeah,
and be dealt a stinker of those proportions by the home team.
It says the attendance was 14,519. I did not. It looked like every third. There was someone in every third seat.
There's no way there was 10,000 people in there.
Yeah, it seems like
no way.
It seems like people, I'm like, it's a preseason game, but it's more than that. It's COVID, right? Like, I just think people are being cautious, even though everyone there's double vaccinated or has passed the test or whatever their rule is. I just think people are being cautious and they're not gonna. A lot of people may not attend early on if they have any concerns at all. So maybe that's what was going on. I'm just guessing. All right, when's the next game, Bruce? Tuesday?
Yeah, they're playing at home against Seattle on Tuesday, and I have to issue one small correction. My very first good thing, I got the lines wrong. I looked it up on Natural Stat Trick while you were talking, and Perlini was actually with Shore and Turris, and it was Sevier that was with Borgo and Ryan.
Yes.
It was a lot during a line change that Perlini was in on the goal with Ryan and Borgo that messed me up, but it was Sevier for the most part. But it was
Wasn't that a
Ryan.
power play? I think it was.
It was.
Might have been a power play even. I'm not
Maybe it
sure.
was second power play.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a power play lineup. So
okay. Yeah, that explains it. So anyway, my mistake. I mean, my comments about Perlini, a lot of what I noticed about Perlini was things that he did individually, and he was he made a strong case for himself for sure. So
yeah, I think in terms of making the team, Perlini, and then then there was the ultimate making the team moment, Bruce. Third period power play Flames, and the game's 4-0. It's way out of reach, and there's a absolutely wicked shot, and who goes and blocks it? Slater Cuckoo just takes one for the team. Like, that is a guy who wants to make the roster of the Edmonton Oilers this year, and he made a lot of nice plays. He was smart. He just passed it over to Evan Bouchard again and again and again and again, and that's always a good play. It seems to me.
Well, you play to each other's strengths.
Yes.
And if you have a defense pairing that's a stopper and a puck mover, the stopper, after he makes the stop, he wants to get the puck to the puck mover. Now, I'm not sure I would classify Slater Kukuk as a full-on stopper, but I have to say I've been pleasantly impressed by what I liked his play in camp. And he and Bouchard were together the whole time. And Kukuk seems to have, he recognizes he's playing with a younger, less experienced partner, and he's amping up a little bit his physicality and his intensity and taking on a leadership role within the pairing, while still giving Bouchard himself plenty of time to, plenty of opportunity to wheel and do his thing. But Cuckoo gives the impression that he's got Bouchard's back, and so far so good. I mean, let's see what happens when we start playing real teams in real games. But Cuckoo's come in here very determined to, I think, win a spot not just on the team but in the top 6. And I would say at this moment he's favored to do just that.
Yeah, I was skeptical when he arrived in town. I mean, I didn't know much about him, and there was some stats that said he was good, that there was others that said he was bad, and so I just didn't know. But I was really impressed with him last year, and I was glad they brought him back. I think he's a smart hockey player, kind of a all-rounder. He's kind of okay at everything, okay at taking the body, okay at playing positionally, okay at moving the puck, okay at all these things. Like, he's not a strong NHLer, but he's an okay player. And we'll see how this partnership goes. This is what the Oilers need. They need players like Slater Cuckoo to be decent. If you're going to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs, your third pairing defense has got to be decent. It can't be crappy, and you can't make mistakes.
You need a few players in your lineup who you can count on to hold their own, and for what passes as inexpensive in the NHL, which is under $1 million, which is where Cuckoo draws in. So
this could easily be, Bruce, the best puck moving group of defensemen the Oilers have had since 2006, right? Like 2005-06. They lose Larson, who was a fantastic shutdown defenseman, but not a great passer of the puck. He's okay at best, right? And if Chris Russell isn't in the lineup all the time, then you lose another guy who's not a great puck mover. If you go with, Nurse, Barry, Keith, Cece, and Cuckoo, Bouchard, these are all 6 of these players should be able to move the puck well. And so we'll see. I mean, I just wanted to ask you, just before we shut her down for the night. You were at training camp 3 days in a
Hmm.
row.
Yeah.
What was your impression of Cody Ceci? And first, and any other strong impressions? And I just want to compliment you, Bruce. I thought you did a fantastic job
Thank you.
of providing the color of those practices. You don't always go, so it's kind of you're seeing it through fresh eyes. And I just thought you did a really fine job on those 3 days in a row. But Cece, what did you think?
No. Uh, yeah. Here's the thing about CC. I saw him real good at training camp, especially on the first day. Like he blew me away with his. Well, blew me away is strong, but he was very, very good at many aspects of the game, including the physical aspect, his ability of not crushing guys, but using his body effectively to close off a guy's route to the puck, finish the check, then turn and get the puck for himself, or even leave the puck for a teammate to get it. But he was aware of the lanes and the ability to use his body, and it's a pretty big body. He's 6'2" and something over 200 pounds. I can't remember his exact measurement.
210 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's a good sized fellow. He can skate pretty good. He can, skate with the puck okay, pass the puck, made some good passes. He seemed to be, he had good range, and he made one awful turnover in one of the scrimmages to Yamamoto. And guess what clip was put on Twitter? Along with all kinds of comments saying, well, this is what we can expect from Cody Ceci out here. What a stupid signing. And he was excellent for 3 days. He made one mistake. And the only clip you'll find of Cody Ceci on Twitter is that clip. And just to continue in that vein, while I'm ranting a little bit, for years we've been hearing about how the Oilers need puck-moving defensemen. And now they've got, as you say, puck-moving defensemen. They brought in Duncan Keith. They brought back Tyson Barrie. And from some quarters, all I'm hearing is grumbling about how lousy the Oilers' defense is without even seeing them play yet. I mean, if they're good puck movers and the Oilers are going to be attacking with the puck with the attackers that they've got, well, some good things are going to result from all that. It's not all doom and gloom all the time. I mean, come on, some people need to knock it off with the full blown negativity. I mean,
I just ignore them.
at least,
I try to ignore those people, but it's always the same people. I'm done with it. I ignore it. Like they can have their conversations. That's fine. There's all kinds of people out there with all kinds of opinion, and on social media, you just have to really, I think in the end, if you're going to just limit who you follow and listen to and talk with, because otherwise the negativity, and again, you're right, Bruce. Like, how do they know about Cody Ceci? Did they watch him play all of his games last year? How do they know about Duncan Keith? How many of Duncan Keith's games did they watch last year? I'm skeptical about both players, frankly.
Too.
But
I am too.
Nonetheless,
but prejudging,
I'm going in with an open mind because I don't know how they're going to play. I hope they're great. Yeah. Maybe they won't be. I hope that Mark Fane and Nikita Nikitin were going to be great. Didn't turn out.
No, sometimes betting against the Oilers has been a pretty solid bet over these last 15 years. But in the here and now, my comment about puck moving defensemen, I'm going to let that stand. I mean, you want puck moving defensemen? Well, most of them have warts. Like, there are very few Chris Prongers out there that are great puck movers. And they're great at everything else. Many of them have issues, and the ones that don't have issues cost a fortune. So, anyway, they've let's at least see what we got before we declare Ken Holland's summer of failure. I mean, maybe that's the way we'll judge it. Like we judge Peter Chiarelli's summer of failure over time.
Summers.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. I mean, points is, especially in a short season, points isn't a great way to rate defensemen. I understand that. Like, it's very variable, but that said, there's one indicator. He finished 40th overall in even strength point scoring rate. He was at 1.21 points per 60, Cody Ceci. Right there beside Quinn Hughes and Colton Parayko. So, and ahead of Morgan Riley. So again, you can get lucky. You can get lots of second assists, and you can get, and it's not necessarily meaningful, but it might be meaningful. And again, I didn't see him. I can't say. I don't know. I'm skeptical, but I'm heartened. I was heartened by your description of him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hoping that he can play, and maybe he can. I mean, he's 27. He's been an NHLer a long time. Maybe he's ready to be just a solid. What was that? What's that old guy who played with the Leafs in Carolina? Hainsey.
Yeah.
A guy like that, like, was he ever, all of a sudden he hits about 27, 28, 29, and he becomes a really good NHL player for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes defensemen, they just figure it out. And if they have, if he's always had kind of a toolkit, he's always been, I think, big and fast and impressed people with his skills. But maybe at the age he's at, the mental game will come to him. So again, this is speculation. I have no idea, but that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Hainsey when you were describing him at training camp. So we'll see. Hopefully.
Well, he's 27 and he's got 549 NHL regular season games under his belt already. I mean, I
Yeah.
would hope and expect that he's a polished NHL defenseman at this point. And that's what I saw. Right away, I think this guy looks like an NHLer. And, that doesn't always happen, right? But you could see that he had the command of his game. And who knows if at 27, if he's peaked. I mean, his last couple of years, it seems to be more trending in a good direction, especially last year in Pittsburgh, once he got out of Ottawa. I mean, if you're judging your opinion on the guy when he was a young player playing for the Ottawa Senators, well, I suggest you step back off the ledge and give him a chance. There's going to be mistakes and there's going to be goals against. And if that's all you're looking for, then you're probably going to be disappointed.
Well, yeah,
Whoever the player is.
Even Chris Pronger was responsible for goals against on a regular basis. These things happen. So anyway, let's just wait and see. Hopefully,
yeah,
I mean,
and we'll be tracking that through the season. I'll be very keen to watch, and we'll just judge them on the same criteria we've been judging guys for years. And I'm interested to see how this new set of defensemen are going to rate under our system of monitoring positive and negative plays on scoring chances at both ends of the ice.
Yeah, because I think we kind of know what we're going to get in Nurse, and we kind of know what we're going to get in Tyson Barrie, and maybe to some extent Cuckoo and Russell. Kind of the steady diminishment of Chris Russell, who I've always kind of liked. But these are the unknowns. Keith
Bouchard. I mean, he's
CC
going to be in the
Bouchard's
lineup. If he makes a mistake, and gives up a goal, will he get the same kind of feedback?
Well, there's some people,
we'll see.
I get this, Bruce. They are bitter because Ethan Bear and Caleb Jones got traded. They really like those players. They really loved Ethan Bear's game, and they really loved Caleb Jones. And yeah, at times I've really been enthusiastic about both players and seen potential in them, and maybe and they could still, both of them, round into steady, reliable top 4 D-men in the NHL. Real possibility. But I guess I've just moved on. Like, they're gone, and ever since my favorite Risto Siltanen got traded, Bruce, I just can't be jilted anymore.
Well, there was a puck.
I'm over that. Now there was a puck moving defenseman.
Yeah.
Skated like an angel.
Evan Bouchard's a puck mover, and Tyson Barrie's a puck mover, and Duncan Keith is a puck mover, and let's see what happens when these puck movers move the puck onto the sticks of these talented offensive players. And ideally, I mean, I'm old enough that I remember, and you do too, of course, Paul Coffey.
Yeah.
And he had his detractors, and he would make some horrendous clangers from time to time that would wind up with the goal light flashing. And yet every year he would more than make up for that with his positive plays, moving the puck, contributing directly to the offense, obviously with his 100-point seasons and so on. But weigh the positives against the negatives, and in his case, he'd be plus 50 every year by the end of the year. I would suggest that there was more positives than negatives. I mean, simple math. And none of these guys is going to be Paul Coffey, but that's just a lesson I learned that, you over in an individual moment, sure, you can be mad at this player or that for some dumb play or bad turnover or something, but overall, you got to balance the full breadth of the guy, and it's pretty hard to do that on a player that just arrived in Edmonton and hasn't even played an actual game yet. So let's hold our fire for a little bit
and hold our praise. I mean, like with
well, yeah.
Bouchard as well. And so this, I just was so thrilled with Evan
Hmm.
Bouchard's game tonight. He looked Zubovian in that game, though. The way he was dominating the play, and but it is just a preseason game. But
Yes,
it's just really exciting to
against a
have this
bad team.
player. Yeah, against a bad team. It's just really exciting to have this kind of talent,
Hmm.
and I hope it comes to fruition because the Oilers look like they might have a special player here, and to combine with some other special players, and that's what you need if you're going to win the Stanley Cup. You got to
Hmm.
have that, and they haven't had that on defense. They haven't had that special player. Like honestly, I like Darnell Nurse, but I don't think he's that guy on the attack. So we'll see. We shall see. Alrighty, Bruce. Any closing thoughts?
One down, 89 to go, and that's before the playoffs. Got
Yes.
8 preseason games and 82 regular season games ahead. So we set the standard now. The Oilers are averaging 4 goals for and 0 against. So that's what we can expect going forward.
That'd be very nice. All right. Thanks, Bruce. Good to talk to you. Thanks for talking.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.